And when I prepared the program for today, I saw a number. It really scared me. And I'd like to discuss with you about the amount of people that got pardoned from the presidents.
Yeah,
So I,
that's unbelievable what they're doing. Commuted sentences, which means they're in jail and being let out, or pardoned. And then the type of pardons that he's issuing are just, the number and the reasons and all of that are incredible.
yeah,
And, you know, unfortunately, our Constitution gives the president that kind of power, and Biden is choosing to exercise it to the fullest extent.
it's like abuse to power.
Well,
It's
he's abusing it, but it's his to abuse.
right. Yeah, that's sad. All right, so I think we can start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is December 17th. Here, our dear friend Tom. Tom, thank you so much for coming to here and then talk about the important issues with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Cheyenne, for having me on.
Sure, of course. Yeah, Tom is our old friend, and she is our dear friend, and he worked in FBI for almost 30 years, and for 5 years he worked as an assistant director of FBI, and he's retired now. Again, thank you so much for coming here. We have a lot to talk today. The first thing I just talked with Tom is I saw a number. It's really amazed me about the number. It says the amount of people that being granted a president pardon. So we have seven presidents, and how many people they're pardoned. I just wanted to tell you guys the number first, and then I have some questions regarding of this pardon. Reagan, President Reagan, he's there 8 years, and the total amount of his pardon is 406 people. And George Bush, 4 years, total number is 77 people. Clinton, 8 years, total number 459 people. And George W. Bush, 8 year, total number 200 people. Obama, 8 years, total number 1,927 people. And Trump, 4 year, a total number 237 people. And Joe Biden, up to date, it's over 8,000 people. So I think I might see something wrong, some number wrong, and double check it's the correct number.
Right.
8,000 people. It's not done yet. I don't know. What do you think, Tom? Is that a way too much?
Well, yes, I think so. But, we've heard all this talk that Biden was concerned about his legacy and his
Mhm.
reputation and all that. And to me, almost throughout his whole career, he's shown no regard for that. Every office that he's held, he's
Mhm.
used it to make money personally, to build
Mhm.
more houses in Delaware and even on the beach, and
Mhm.
enrich himself, enrich every member of his family.
Mhm.
And that's continued to the present. And the other question is, and some people have speculated that, since he will no longer be president, he's not going to have the ability to get other countries to give him all kinds of money like he did when he had Hunter flying around the world
Sure.
with him and even on his own to collect money, to sell influence, sell access to Joe Biden. So now people are saying, well, the one last profitable area that he can exploit is sell pardons, is let it set up
Ah,
people behind the scenes to run interference and create it, like money laundering situation where for a certain amount of money, he'll give them a pardon. He has
wow.
the power to impart to give that pardon. And if he has members of his family or some other trusted associates that are going to get a share of this money, they can
Mhm.
start selling pardons. And, some of the people that you're hearing about, the crimes that they committed that he's pardoned are incredible. And so obviously he's not caring anymore of what his reputation's going to be. He's already been hearing now for a long time in the media, if he's mentally capable of understanding, then he would understand that he's being regarded as probably the worst president in United States history. For a while they had a debate. Well, maybe it would be Jimmy Carter, and now comedians and others are saying not Jimmy Carter, it's Joe Biden. And what he did to the economy, the lies that he's told, for instance, that how terrible the economy was that he inherited from Donald Trump, that the inflation was 9%. No, it was about 2%. Or other issues, the energy independence of the country, just all of these economic indicators, other indicators of how strong the country was, the economy was. He has lowered every one of those areas to a lower level of accomplishment. So he starts out with an approval rating 60, 70%, like most presidents. And they're saying his approval rating now on the way out the door is like 30%, probably the lowest in the history of the presidency. And he's regarded as the worst president. So at this point, why not sell 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 pardons? Make more money on the way out the door. Figure out a way to put that money in different bank accounts like they've done, and launder it around by transferring it around different LLCs, which they're creating. And the problem with that is that the Constitution gives him that power. Now, the question would be, if he gets caught selling them, are they unlawful? Can they be litigated? Can they be canceled? I don't know. And I think that's the problem. Most of the highly regarded attorneys in the country are looking at the situation going, this is like nothing we've ever seen. We've seen presidents give large pardons, but what if he's selling them? What if he's making a profit on these pardons?
Yeah.
We don't know.
That's my question.
There's so many areas of law that are undecided because of Joe Biden. The lawfare against President Trump, the Supreme Court decisions that are coming, all of these type of decisions, people are saying, this is unknown territory. The degree to which Trump, can be let off on these charges, or other issues can be raised, issues overturning those type of things.
Right.
Now the other thing they're doing is trying to do what they can to sabotage Trump coming into office.
Right.
So you're looking at, for example, now it's come out publicly, and Trump talked about this today and yesterday in his press conferences, that all of the steel, the large steel girders that were being used or going to be used again in the future to build the southern wall at the Mexican border.
Right.
Biden, those were already bought and paid for during the Trump administration by U.S. taxpayers. And now Biden is selling that steel for 5 cents on the dollar. So that two things. First of all, for Trump to build more wall like he's promised, he's going to have to buy those materials at full price in the future. And secondly, they won't have the materials. So how long would it take to get that amount of steel ordered and delivered to the border? So all of those issues, it's like Biden is doing everything he can at the end to sabotage Trump. They're giving contracts to federal employees, 9-year contracts, that they don't have to go back to the office. They can work from home, or only go in 1 day a week or 1 day a month, something like that. Nobody's ever heard of that. Thousands of federal employees that wouldn't have to go to work, thanks to Biden. Or launching missiles deep into Russia now.
Right.
So what if they're pushing Putin to almost force him to retaliate?
Right.
Then what'll happen? So if Putin was to return fire and not just bomb military targets in Ukraine, but he could send his missiles into any city in Europe. He could also do an attack here. And what would happen then? So that may be what he's trying to do ultimately, is provoke Putin into basically attack, make full-blown war. We're waging war on Russia. Most people probably don't even know that, but we've committed acts of war on a continuing basis. What if Putin responds? What if he launches missiles at London or Paris or, you know, other cities, Berlin, and takes them out,
Right.
which legally he could do? He's being attacked basically by the United States and NATO countries,
Right.
and it would be legal in international law for Putin to retaliate
Of course.
and answer back.
Of
Now, partly I think Putin is also, like we are, counting the days till Trump is in the office
hmm
and hoping and not doing anything to actually provoke World War III or actually take out a large Western city. Now, maybe Putin could do a demonstration of power, maybe launch one of his missiles to land in the desert somewhere or land in the middle of a cornfield in Europe, in England, and
hmm
say, see, that this time it's a cornfield, next time it's London.
Mm-mm-mm.
And kind of like the day the earth stood still. Take note of what I can do, what we Russians can do.
Right.
But and then that would give Biden the to use War Powers Act and other congressional acts
hmm
to basically call off the inauguration.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that if the election, or I mean the inauguration in January is called off because we're at war, or Biden has declared a martial law and shut down Washington D.C., then you have a situation where if Biden's term ends and Trump's term has not begun because
Mhm.
he's not inaugurated, the
Right.
general that runs NORAD in Colorado becomes the acting president of the United States. NORAD is, the North American Missile Defense of the United States, of North America, basically. And that general, if we don't have a sitting president,
Uh-huh.
kind of like right now, Ukraine has that. Zelensky was not reelected. They held no election. So
hmm
his term actually expired, but he's still running around acting like the president of Ukraine.
hmm
And it's such a crooked country anyway, who cares and who argues it?
hmm
But a lot of people don't realize that the general running NORAD, basically the North American defense system,
hmm
the assumption is that if we don't have the sitting president, either the president's been taken out or killed in an attack,
hmm
or in this case, we have a president's term expire and a new president not inaugurated. Um, who knows? A more unknown territory. Who's running the country? Who's in charge? What would happen?
Wow.
Can Trump be inaugurated in a hurry if his electors have not been certified? Now, interesting, in this case, we have Trump winning the popular vote and
Right.
the electoral college. So that could give him more authority. Let's say that the courts could rule, okay, this is an emergency. We're going to go ahead and the popular vote this time counts, or we can certify the electors later and
hmm
go ahead and swear in Trump.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
but that's all of these are legal questions, and who knows what's going to happen. But it appears that Biden is in a full scale assault on the office of the presidency, the democracy of electing Trump and his policies, and doing everything he can to sabotage the will of the people and
Mhm.
prevent Trump from being sworn in as president.
Right. Well, thank you so much for pointing it out. And yeah, my question is, can he do that? But the thing is, you just mentioned that there are some area that it's not very clear by the law so far.
Yeah.
So then, well,
Obviously, it's clear that he can give all the pardons he wants. There's no limitation in
right,
the Constitution that says you have up to
right.
100 or 1,000 or
You have
10,000.
the number limited.
Now, if he sells pardons,
That's a different story, right?
is it? Do we know?
So the thing is, we have to face the reality is I think the Constitution is to the people, by the people, for the people who have the common sense, who have the common moral standard. But now we're facing some gangster, and they are in very important position. They're a part of our government. So I think this is the challenge that we never faced before, or this is maybe the first time in the history. that we have a president that don't care about Constitution, who's sitting in the White House, right?
And he's been showing that all along.
Right,
When he did the student loan part or
right,
forgiveness policies, Supreme
mhm,
Court overruled them, and he's
right,
ignored the Supreme Court. So it's not the first time that Biden would ignore what the courts have decided. And the
right.
founding fathers had wanted it to be that the three branches are equal:
Mm-hmm,
congressional side, uh, the courts, and
mm-hmm,
the executive branch. And so
right.
Biden just flaunts that and says, I don't care. What's interesting to me is that you have someone that we can count all the lies that he's told on every topic going back years. His first presidential campaigns,
Mhm,
the lies that he's told about his academic accomplishments and all the other things. And he was in South Africa, and stood with freedom for Africans, with Nelson Mandela, some of those type of issues all turn out to be lies.
right.
He still lies on a continuing basis, even
Mm-hmm,
now.
mm-hmm,
So in a way, he's going to go from the best compliment that people will be able to say about Biden, if he does the right thing from here on, is that he was just the worst president we ever had. Worst president for the economy,
mm-hmm,
for safety of the people, for the city's decline and the border being unlocked and the potential threats of terrorists that have just poured into our country.
mm-hmm,
That would be the best. That would be the good news.
mm-hmm,
If he also goes down, when all of the rest of these stories come out and the indications of investigation come out, he will probably go down as the single most corrupt
oh, yeah.
public official in U.S. history,
Mm-hmm,
particularly at the presidential level.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
They joke about the Biden crime family. It actually, he runs that family like a mafia family.
mm-hmm,
And he's run his business like that. I mean, you can go back to when he's a senator, when he's a vice president, in between being vice president and the actual president.
yeah.
And I think, to me, I get the impression, I'm going to play junior armchair psychologist, is that this is Biden's revenge, not just against it's revenge against the Republican Party and Trump. Absolutely, he hates them. It's
Mhm.
revenge against the Democratic Party for dumping
Exactly.
him, for
Mhm,
removing him from being the nominee
mhm,
and putting Kamala Harris in to run for president. It's
mhm.
revenge against the American people that voted him out.
Yeah.
And so he's filled with hate, revenge, all of these negative impulses that he's acting on. And I
Mhm,
think that for that reason, he will go down as the most corrupt and most anti-American,
mhm.
anti-democracy president we've
Right,
ever had. So
right.
just calling him cognitively deficient or any of that, that's a
Mhm.
compliment at this point compared to these other
Yep,
accusations, which
yep,
more and more as time goes on are proving to be true because he's doing it right in plain view.
yep.
So he's so desperate that he's doing these improper acts, I'll call them, or corrupt acts,
Mhm.
and we're all watching and we all see it. And
Yep.
it's almost like, so what? I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to make the money. I've been making the money.
Mhm.
That's why he's got houses on oceanfront, prop three mansions in Delaware. All of that. His family has gotten rich. How did he get that? He's not had a real job. So
I think Hollywood would like him because he gave Hollywood so much topic, so much theme to make movies, to make TV series for years and decades.
yeah. Well, CNN, I'm sure, will be offering him a big contract because they like liars as contributors.
Ah,
That's been
that's a
shown.
good question.
So Biden could be auditioning for a big contract with cable news,
Mhm,
CNN or one of the other MSNBC, if they still exist,
mhm.
any of those things. So it's very
Well,
interesting that everything Biden's pulling is pretty much backfiring, but at the expense of the American people. Not just the expense. He could pretend like it's all anti-Trump. It's anti-American. Okay? Is your signal frozen?
Hello, Tom.
Hello?
Hello, Tom.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry, it's just disconnect. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. Go ahead. We
Is
just
that
talk
is
about.
that my computer freezing or yours?
I don't know. It seems like mine is okay.
And
I
mine
don't,
looks like mine is too, so I don't know.
something weird happened.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So yeah, we're talking about the CNN will offer Biden the contract. So CNN like the liars. So he's gonna go back to CNN maybe to do some shows. My question is anyone at this time will listen to him? He's approved a failure.
It's
Anyone would
not, it's
like?
not, yeah, that's true. But at the moment, in
Mhm.
this last, month plus of his office, he's doing everything he can to sabotage the country, to
Right,
sabotage the incoming president.
right.
That, it's interesting. The phrase that's always used after an election is the people have spoken. And what you have with Biden and the administration now is we don't care what the people say. We don't care that the
Mhm,
people have spoken.
mhm.
Too bad.
Well, well, every time I saw the situation like this, it's really made me feel so sad.
Yeah,
And these
very.
people a liar, and then these people are broken the law and everything and the bad thing they have done. And so many people still vote for them, right? At least he got some thousands of voters.
Yeah, sure.
People do that because everything they have done is destroy people. So why you vote for a person or a party destroy you? So this is the reality. It makes me very sad because they're doing just like you described. Some bad things never happened before. They don't care. They just do it. They don't care about constitution. They don't care about law. They don't care about the characters, common sense. No, nothing. They want to grab the money and the power. So people just don't realize that. It's so obvious, right? So,
Yeah, I think that some people up till now have had such a hatred of Donald Trump that they don't care what Biden does. Like he has immunity because at least he's going up against Trump, so we're going to vote for him. Or Kamala Harris against Trump, we'll vote for her. And I think that and I think now some people, including the members of the media, are starting to wake up. And
mhm,
one of the encouraging things to me is
mhm,
that in the last couple of weeks, you've seen groups of leaders go to Mar-a-Lago,
yeah,
and as some websites are calling it, they're going to kiss the ring of Donald Trump. Whether it's high tech, the heads of the high tech companies that have gone down there
mhm,
um, and said they're going to cooperate with Trump,
mhm,
media people going down, like Joe Scarborough going down to kiss the ring and
mhm,
try to get back on Trump's good side because MSNBC and
mhm,
his show in particular are going down the drain and may
mhm,
not survive.
mhm,
So you have various people going to Mar-a-Lago to curry favor with the Trump administration, which says a lot. And I
mhm,
think the most convincing indicator to me, just within the last 24 hours, has been that you've had some U.S. senators basically being critical of some of Trump's nominees for cabinet positions.
mhm.
Joni Ernst from Iowa and Murkowski
Yeah,
from
right.
Alaska and some others that have said, well, I don't know. I have my doubts about Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense or, you know, whoever, various nominees for
Mhm,
cabinet positions.
mhm.
And now all of a sudden they've
Yeah.
had visits from those nominees and they've had
Mhm,
visits from other Republicans
mhm,
talking to them about, you know, getting on the Trump train, so to speak. And now you have them saying, well, I'm not completely against him or her,
They
and
are changing.
I might be able to vote yes when we have the actual hearings of our committees. So
Mhm,
you're not hearing this anti-Trump, the rhinos being as vocal anti-Trump or anti-nomination of Trump. You're hearing more and more of them saying, I think we've got to cooperate, because also on the Republican side, you've had other Republican leaders saying to Murkowski, to Joni, that, next time you run for office, we're going to primary you. We're
mhm,
going to put a Republican candidate up that's going to defeat you. And and they're looking at that going, that might happen.
mhm.
So maybe I better be a little more cooperative and supportive of what
Right,
Trump is trying to do.
right.
So we're going to see if that carries on. Obviously, the hearings for these positions aren't going to start until Trump's in office and the new Congress is in
Mhm,
next week sometime. But these hearings can take time normally, especially the
mhm,
Judiciary Committee is going to hear the nomination for Attorney General and the
mhm,
nomination for Kash Patel to be FBI director and
mhm.
some other positions like that. And we'll see if the committee becomes more cooperative with the nominee, let's say, and less belligerent against people that Trump has nominated.
Great. So you see the change, like a little by little, something changed.
Right, right.
Right. Oh, Tom, you can hear me correctly, but you cannot see my. Can you see my face?
I see a still picture of you.
Oh,
I hear you clearly. I can't
okay.
see your mouth move.
Okay, so I just still move. I just still there. Okay, let me see if I can change that, but we can continue. Are you okay? Continue like this?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about that.
As long as you keep talking, I can hear you.
I'm keep talking. I keep talking and keep listening, and then just the picture is frozen. So talk about the changing. It is something that we like to see, and just like you said, that we wish is continued to just change. It's like change the direction of a huge boat. It takes time. So that's a good sign. But still, just like you said, they still want to hold Trump as long as they can. The New York Judge mentioned, just issued his decision regarding President Trump bite to have the verdict against him set aside of Manhattan business record case. And not surprisingly, mentioned denial Trump's request, meaning he's going to keep doing the case. So what do you see here, and then what your project of this issue? So Trump gonna
I
do
think
anything?
almost all of these things that whether it's Judge Merchan
Mhm,
or Letitia James, Attorney General in New York,
mhm,
or others, Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan prosecutor, I think that almost everything that they've come up with is overturnable and probably would be overturned
mhm,
when the Supreme Court hears the issue, in the weeks ahead and makes the decision. So I think the idea of uh, Merchan's case, let's say in New York, of carrying the sentence or delaying the sentence till Trump's out of office to leave that hanging over his head for 4 years,
mhm,
you know, contrary to what the Democrats say, Trump is not a convicted felon. That
mhm,
the convictions don't stand yet. Uh, so they have to be, basically ratified or whatever, and that can change.
mhm,
But we'll see what happens with that. Letitia James and all of these people that swore they're going to get Trump haven't given up. They still
mhm.
want to get Trump, even
Right,
though at this point it's absurd. The
right,
whole idea was to keep Trump out of the presidency.
right.
So they're trying to find some way to keep him out of the presidency, and we'll see. You also have the possibility of some type of black swan event. A black
Mhm,
swan event is some major engineered catastrophe that causes a change in policy or direction, And
Right.
in this case, they used to refer to those years ago, the October surprise or the November surprise.
Right. Right.
In this case, we have the November and December surprise being, where
Mm-hmm.
are all these drones coming from? Who's operating them?
Yeah.
And the idea that these are not people that have gone to the local electronics store and bought a hobby model
Mm-hmm.
of a drone. As as an amateur photographer, I've looked at. I haven't bought one, and I'm not going to, but I
Mm-hmm.
did look at the issue of drones. And as a private person, you can buy them. In some cases, you have to take lessons and get a license from the government. But they can run up to maybe $1,000, let's say, for a really quality. And the quality drones are made in China. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the DJI drones. Now, people are saying that these aircraft or drones that are flying over New Jersey and now about 12 other states are the size of SUVs or buses. Those are drones that are made for our military,
Right.
and they can run up to a couple $100,000 a piece, maybe $1 million a piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the idea that these are people that have gone, but they're hobbyists that have gone to the corner electronics store or gone to their mall and bought one of these, that's absurd. They're
Mm-hmm.
somebody with money, and the only people I see, especially when you have, well, the whole administration, this is the problem. Not just Biden, but anybody that speaks for Biden are also liars. So they lie about the lies.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have Kirby, the security advisor, and
Mm-hmm.
others to the Biden administration saying, and Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security,
Big lie.
oh, we don't know who's put them there and where they're from or what's going on, but we know we're not in danger. Well, how do
Mm-hmm.
you know that? That's absurd that you would say that we're not in danger.
Right. Right.
So those drones could be capable of, there's rumors that a nuclear warhead from
Right.
somewhere in Europe, maybe Ukraine,
Right.
has been smuggled into the United States, which wouldn't be hard with hundreds of thousands of people crossing our border at will, but
Mm-hmm.
that a nuclear warhead is on the loose somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking for it. And so
Right.
these drones have sensors, that can look
Verification.
for radiation or look for other materials, chemical materials being released, biological materials being released into the atmosphere.
Right.
Now, that's a good idea, except the problem with that is if we thought there's a nuclear weapon loose somewhere, let's say in the New York City area or California or one of the other states,
Mm-hmm.
why would we be only looking for it at night then? Why wouldn't we have a 24-hour full court press? We got to find that device before it blows up.
That's a good question.
So that, those are questions that aren't being answered, not even addressed by the president. So you
Right.
have something that is this concerning to the public, and you don't have a president capable of speaking to it.
Right. Yep.
So,
This is the question I'm just going to ask you. That's the third question of today is about the drone. So the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission just released a report confirming radiation material lost in transit. Shipping container arrived damaged and empty in New Jersey. So how serious it can be?
I don't know, but I look at that, every hospital that has uh,
Okay.
advanced technology, let's say, and some of the machines can cost $1 million
Mhm.
using radioactive material. And
Right.
then they transport the radioactive material. So the idea that what would have been in one of those containers that shows up empty, does
Mhm.
that justify 1,500 or how many thousand drones to go look for it? I don't
Right.
know. Uh, so that's a good question. And how much danger would that prove to try to make a dirty bomb from
Mhm.
such a small amount of radioactive material? In a hospital, when you go to some examining rooms and you
Right.
actually see uh, a container there that
Mhm.
says it's for radioactive material when
Right.
they've used something radioactive to do a test. So
It's
I
really
don't know.
hard to, yeah.
None of the explanations are good.
Mm,
And now the question is it based on, and with the history of our government under Biden,
mhm,
is this a case of government incompetence? They don't know what they have or what they're looking for or how to find it.
mhm,
Or is it just they're lying? They're deceiving the American public of what's out there. Don't know. Now, my fear had always been in the last couple of months was that every other method to take Trump out or keep Trump out of the White House
mhm.
has failed up till now.
Right.
So I thought when it came out that we, the U.S., are launching long-range missiles into the heart of Russia,
Mhm,
that that we're trying to provoke Putin into retaliating either against a U.S. city, another Ukrainian city, a
mhm.
European capital, let's say, and that if Putin does that and we go to full-scale war, and it doesn't have to be nuclear, and I think that's what everybody is already saying, we're going to be on the verge of nuclear war.
Mhm.
Well, the new missile that Russia has developed that's hypersonic, that can fly 7 to 10,000 miles per hour and cannot be shot down, they don't need a nuke. They could put enough explosives on those kind of missiles to take out a capital in Europe or any other major,
Right.
a port city where we're sending in the missiles or how we're getting it to the Europeans or
Right.
to Ukraine, let's say.
Right.
So I think that to me, that's what the goal of Biden was, to provoke Putin into a major attack and then
Mhm,
say, that's it, the whole country, martial law, call off the inauguration. We can't do it.
mhm,
We're going to keep Trump out of office that way. We're going
mhm.
to declare he can't get sworn in. We have to
Right.
shut down the U.S. Capitol. We have
Mhm,
to shut down the proceedings or shut down the certification of the electors next
mhm,
month, which is what happened 4 years ago, January 6th. That's what that was the proceeding that got interrupted,
mhm.
was the Senate with Mike Pence, the vice president, running the procedure. They were certifying the electors elected by each state and territory. So that's what got disrupted with the riot at the Capitol. Well, they could try to do that now. Either have a new riot when the electors come to Washington to be certified,
Mhm.
or have the U.S. finally in a serious warlike situation where the Capitol is threatened by these missiles,
Right.
and do it that way. We've had war and presidencies during wartime. You go back to the Civil War, World War I, World War II. The elections were still held, inaugurations were still held. But now, in the nuclear era, we don't know. Would they still be held? Would the inauguration still be held? Too late to call off the election, but the election's not over because you still don't have the electors that were selected in each state sworn in yet or
Mhm,
certified yet,
mhm.
which is the proceeding that Kamala Harris is going to oversee next month. So you
Right.
have these situations, let's say, that could delay everything.
Wow. So we're still in danger, to be honest. We're not there yet.
Right, right.
Yeah. And some weird thing happened is really make us think about that way. They will
Yeah,
not easily give up, even though they lost everything at the election. And people are talking, people are already expressed their willing of this country, where the direction the country should go, who we are support to be a president, but they don't care, just like you said. They
yeah,
would do
and they still have a sitting vice president, no matter how disgraced she should be, and it looks like she has no shame. But
right.
however, the election result doesn't matter. Kamala Harris is still the sitting vice president, and Kamala Harris will be the one that chairs the Senate proceeding to
Right.
certify the electors. That
Right.
hasn't happened yet. That
Right.
could be sabotage.
Right.
So these are all the potential black swan events that are
Right.
still gonna keep Trump out of the White House.
Right. Exactly. So, wow, we have a 1 month.
Yeah,
So this 1 month is should not be easy to pass.
right.
Wow. Thank you so much for telling us that. And also, just like I told you that I just saw a news about Liz Cheney. Might be Liz Cheney is referred to a criminal investigation for witness tempting related to J6 star witness Hutchinson. So this is a good news. It's from the House Oversight Committee, and they have the second report of J6 and said that Liz Cheney actually, against the law, contact directly to the witness and tell witness what to do and what not to do. So it's a good news to us. Of course, this is a law and order. Nobody's above the law. So, but what your predict of this case? Will Dick Cheney will be criminal investigate?
Yeah, the investigation, if it's being conducted by the House committee, since so far the Republicans still have the
Mhm.
House in
Right,
the
right.
next Congress starting in January. So they still will have the chairman of each committee and
Mm-hmm,
the speaker position, Mike
mm-hmm,
Johnson. So if they're whatever investigations House committees are involved in today, they could still be doing starting in January in the new Congress. So the idea of Cheney, well, first of all, from the beginning, the J6 committee was not constitutional.
mm-hmm,
You have Pelosi declaring a special committee, but under the rules, if you have a special committee, it has to be bipartisan. So it
mm-hmm,
has to have members from both parties, and each party gets to select its own members. And in this case, uh, they selected Jim Jordan and other Republicans to be on that committee. Pelosi said, no, 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 I'll
yep,
pick every member. She
mm-hmm,
picked Cheney. She picked Adam Kinzinger from Illinois, who
mm-hmm,
had both voted to impeach Trump.
yep,
So that's why she wanted them on the committee. And now you have the situation where Trump is trying to, get the documents, get the evidence of what the committee proceedings were, what the witnesses actually testified under oath to members of the committee. Um, oh, we don't have those documents. What happened to? So you have basically obstruction of justice. You know,
mm-hmm,
you don't even, it's not really a lawful committee, but on the other hand, once it's operating, the handling of the witnesses and all of that now has been proven to be unlawful and
mm-hmm,
improper and
mm-hmm,
not following, due process. So now, the Republican committee doing this investigation, uh, we'll see where that goes, basically, because
mm-hmm.
that committee will still be the committees, Comer's committee and Jordan's committee will still be operating next month and for the
Right,
next 2 years.
right. That's great.
And right now, whatever they uncover, they would refer it to the Department of Justice. Well,
Mm-hmm,
Merrick Garland's not going to do anything with it. But next month,
mm-hmm,
Attorney General Bondi, what happens when these cases get referred to her?
mm-hmm,
So that's why they're saying, okay, Biden's going to have to hurry up and pardon every member of the J6 committee, every
mm-hmm,
member that worked for them to try to essentially frame Donald Trump.
mm-hmm.
Uh, so we'll see where that goes. There are just so many
Yeah,
legal, I guess, strings hanging
right.
that we just don't know which one and how soon they can deal with each one of those.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, Trump has to go to White House at January 20th. This is the first thing that we need to make sure that he back to the office. It
Yeah,
seems like, yeah,
needs to
that,
be sworn in.
yeah. So that's, yeah. Well, it seems pretty easy, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's
No.
not that easy. Yeah. So we have two important days on the road. First is J6 2025, and the second is G20.
Yeah.
And we'll see if Trump can go back. And hopefully, I think 80%, right? He can go back to the White House, right? What do you think of the
I,
percentage,
I
right?
think it's at least probably 80, 90, 95%. But, I don't want to get caught underestimating the evil of the Democratic Party and
Right,
what they might try to do.
right.
So I think we haven't seen all of the creative ways they can sabotage the government,
Right.
Donald Trump, the will of the people, all
Mm-hmm.
of those things they're doing now on a daily basis, trying
Mm-hmm.
to discredit Trump. I think what's interesting is they're going to be having less backing from the media than they used to. I think
Mm-hmm.
we're already starting to see, as Politico put it, people going to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring,
Yeah.
to try to make up, have some cooperation with Trump
Mm-hmm.
uh, compared to 8 years ago. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's an enormous accomplishment right there. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the other thing, thankfully, is that Trump, after the election, he hit the ground running. So when he goes to Europe to represent the United States to the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
he looks just like the president.
Oh yeah.
And while
Yeah.
he's doing these presidential acts or presidential
Mm-hmm.
appearances, where is the president? Where's Biden hiding?
Mm-hmm.
So, meantime, all of the sabotage that's going on being conducted by the Biden administration, is it
Mm-hmm.
really Biden? Is he even knowledgeable of it? We don't know. Is
Mm-hmm.
Blinken, the Secretary of State, the de facto president that's doing it? Or Jake Sullivan or some of the other ones that
Mm-hmm.
are just, to me, they're all just slimy. They have squandered any reason for us to respect them
Mm-hmm.
and honor them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have right now. The waning days of the Biden administration are an embarrassment to the
Right.
country, to the Democratic Party,
Right.
to everybody, including Joe Biden. But I think at this point, he may not realize how impaired he really is.
That's right. And then the last thing I like to hear your opinion is about people said that Trump invited Xi Jinping, and Xi Jinping refused to come. And yesterday, you see the news conference at Mar-a-Lago by President Trump, and he said that Xi Jinping did not say he will come or he will not come. So, what's your rating of this situation here?
Well, I think that for Donald Trump, he's proved the first administration that he had
Hmm.
that he will do what he can to seek cooperation, even with a sworn enemy, even with, you remember at the beginning of his last presidency, Obama predicted North Korea, we're going to be at war with North Korea.
Right.
Next thing you know, Trump is meeting, with, first he calls him Little Rocket Man and
Right.
insults uh, the president of Korea. And then next thing you know, he's flying there. They meet in Singapore. And later, Trump flies to South Korea. And then he's at the border at Panmunjom,
Uh-huh.
where like the demilitarized zone. And they invite him to come across the border 100 yards into North Korea.
Right.
And, I had that honor myself when I was running FBI international operations
Mhm.
and going to South Korea, meeting with the legal attache who worked for me in South Korea. We
Mhm.
went to the border, and I was invited to cross over
Oh,
and
nice.
go, 100 yards. So I
Mhm.
have been to North Korea, but
That's
really 100 yards across and then back. And then the two military leaders at that demilitarized zone have an
mhm.
agreement with each other. So it's a U.S. Army captain
Mhm.
and the army from North Korea,
Mhm.
and they agreed to help each other's country dignitaries come
Mhm.
across occasionally for
Mhm.
the honor of coming across. So many North Korean leaders and generals have actually stepped over the border with the
Mhm.
U.S. Invitation and South Korean invitation to
I
come
see.
into South Korea, cross the border. And
Right.
then they've extended the courtesy to some of our dignitaries.
Uh-huh.
Fortunately, I was one. I got to go into North
Wow.
Korea.
What an
Uh,
experience.
yeah, but at the time, here's President Trump going from calling, the leader of that country names to
Mhm.
basically showing respect. And I get along great with him and we're buddies and all of that.
Mhm.
And then that was the end of that. You don't have any more, North Korea at the time was launching missiles over the Sea of Japan and, threatening its neighbors and all of that. And it pretty much because Trump uses his own personal brand of diplomacy, he brings that to a halt.
Right.
And, that's what, and the same thing right now with all of the discussions about tariffs and everything we're going to do to China and everything they're going to do to us.
Mhm.
Trump diplomatically extends an invitation.
Mhm.
And President Xi of China has already been to Mar-a-Lago. They had dinner together in Mar-a-Lago, during the first administration. So this is not a first time that Trump has extended an
Mhm.
invitation like that to President Xi of China.
Mhm.
And like I said, or like you said, both of us, that it's not like she said, absolutely no way, I'm not going. No, they're basically, I look at it like he could still come,
Ah, well, that's very interesting. That's
even
very
though right now they're saying, no, not going to happen, all that. But
probably he
you
will
don't
come.
know, the art of the deal, as Trump said in his books.
Uh-huh.
Um, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes between Trump and his envoys and she, especially regarding they can be bargaining right now about
Mhm.
the tariffs that won't be imposed, about the sanctions that won't be imposed.
Right.
Um, Now, on the other hand, Trump can't compete. Biden has already released or pardoned communist spies and
Mhm.
and others. So it might be hard for Trump to match all the good things Biden's done for China.
Mhm. Mm.
But China
So,
also gave Biden's millions of dollars.
right.
And so Biden has a special place in his heart for every country that put money in his family's pocket, whether it's
Of
China,
course.
Ukraine, Romania,
Mhm.
Russia.
Right. So it's yeah, it's glad that you mentioned this is art of deal. So we never know the truth behind the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see, lots of people, well, have a okay. Say hi to Tom and thank you, Tom, for telling us the inside story. And also a gentle, I think a audience, well, they will want to know what's your opinion of the CEO assassination, CEO in New York. Remember the healthcare CEO,
Right.
Brian Thompson's case. Now they catch the suspect, which is 26 years old, Ivy League graduates. So people just feel fission of this case. Is he the real? He is the killer. It seems like, but why? And who else helped him? How can he know the information about Brian Thompson? Um, he's um, he's schedule to catch him so precisely. So is
Yeah.
that inside job or what's going on there? So people are just curious. What
I
what
don't
what?
know. I don't know. It could be.
Mm-hmm.
It sure looks like he actually pulled the trigger. He actually killed, you
Right.
know,
Tom.
Thompson. But I think that we don't know all the motives. Here you have a couple of unusual killings. This one in particular,
Mm-hmm.
what is his complaint? They're saying one of the motivations they're claiming is that he had a back injury and they show an x-ray of his back with the rods and the screws in his spine
Mm-hmm.
and that it didn't go well and he's been in pain. Well, that would be an issue with the medical, was he denied coverage? Was he denied the surgery? He's very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So did he
Right.
need that? What would his argument be? If he has an argument with the health industry, shouldn't it be with the doctors or the surgeons or the hospitals?
Mm-hmm.
Why with this insurance company? And did that insurance company deny him benefits or what? We don't know all of that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other unusual killing was the shootings um, that just happened in Wisconsin. And usually, school shootings, very rarely do you hear that it's a teenage girl. And here we have a 17-year-old girl
Mm-hmm.
that opened fire on her teacher and other students and then killed herself. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, I find that unusual that it would
Mm-hmm.
be a female like that killing a teacher.
Hmm. Hmm. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
There are some reports that she's a trans person.
Well, I think that springs up because we've had so many of these type of shootings
Hmm.
recently, and the person that did it was trans.
Right.
And they're wondering, is the process of becoming trans, uh, does that, the medications and surgeries and everything else that goes into that, does
Hmm.
that affect them mentally? Does that
Right.
create psychotic behavior that might not have been there before? Or if it was already a tendency of that person, it
Right.
amplifies it
Right.
and they feel more hostile to the people
Hmm.
around them. I don't know.
Hmm.
Again, more speculation with that, but
Right.
but we're having more and more a teenage female commit this act.
Very sad. Very sad. So for the CEO case, we need more information of the suspect, right?
Yeah, we almost always need more information in the long run than
Mhm.
just what comes out in the first couple of days.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much. I think our time is up 1 hour, and then Tom gave us a lots of interesting analysts, and also thank you so much for mentioning that even though we have 1 month to go, this 1 month might not be very smooth.
No,
Yeah, people
not
are
smooth.
trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so we just keep pray, cross our finger, and then and see what's gonna happen next
Right.
weeks. Hey, thank you so much, Tom.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Thank you. See you next time.
See you next week.
Yeah. Bye.